This equation only has a square root on one side, but it has a quadratic expression, an expression where we have a squared variable in multiple terms inside of the square root, as well as a variable outside. So let's take a look at what happens. We're going to square both sides again. And when we do, we're going to get, well here, let's go ahead and rewrite this. So we're going to take that k and we're going to square it, equals, and now we get a nice long square root here. Let's write our k squared minus 5k minus 15. We're going to take that whole thing and square it. So what happens now? We have k squared right here, and then the square and the square root cancel each other out, leaving us with k squared minus 5k minus 15. What do I see? What I see is that I have a 1k squared on either side of the equal sign, and that I can get those to cancel each other out. I'm going to subtract k squared from both sides of the equation. And when I do that, it's going to cancel out on both sides. So my new equation now is 0 equals negative 5k minus 15. What started out looking like it was going to be a quadratic equation, an equation with a squared variable that we were going to have to factor and solve, has turned into a linear equation, one that's much simpler to solve. We need to get the variable on one side and the ones on the other side. I'm going to go ahead and add 5k to both sides to make my variable positive, and to get it on the opposite side of the equation from my negative 15. When I do that, I end up with 5k equals negative 15, and I divide both sides by 5. Extend the page. And when I do that, k then equals negative 3. I now need to check this answer. So we now have negative 3 equals the square root of negative 3 squared minus 5 times negative 3 minus 15. Okay, so let's see. Negative 3 equals the square root of, and let's combine some stuff in here. Negative 3 squared, well, that becomes positive, and it's 9. Minus, let's see, minus negative 15, that's plus 15. And then minus 15. Okay, what do I see here? First thing I see is plus 15 and minus 15. Those are going to cancel each other out, leaving me with negative 3 equals the square root of 9. So the square root of 9. Don't we have an issue here? The square root of 9 can be 3, or it can be negative 3, because negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. And in this case, it checks because -3 equals -3, so this checks. We have to remember about that negative number that's also the square root of 9. The square root of 9 equals +3, but it also equals -3.